In 2024, Barbara and Cian won Ireland's Art for Good competition, earning a spot in the international finals in Kazakhstan. I began our conversation by asking them to share more about their project.
Yeah, so essentially, iBin uses the iTwin platform to change the way that we manage our waste. As humans, we generate so much waste, and we usually don't think about where it ends up and who deals with it. So with iBin, we wanted to deal with that. We wanted to change the way it's cleaned up afterwards and essentially make it a more sustainable process. So with iBin, we use the iTwin platform to mark where bins are, whether it's on a campus, in an airport, or at high traffic events such as the World Cup or the Olympics. And each bin is equipped with a cheap and really, really small infrared sensor to measure the bin fullness. And then the sensor measures the bin fullness, and then that translates into the iTwin app. And on the iTwin app, we can see the bin fullness, and we can then use algorithms based on Google Maps, Dijkstra's algorithms, to then find the shortest path. And by using the shortest paths, the waste management companies can then reduce their fuel usage. They can save hours from employees' wages. They can also save a lot of plastic bags. With waste management currently, let's say we'll do it every Monday morning or every Thursday morning. And that wastes a lot of resources because you don't know if the bins are going to be empty or full or overflowing. And that wastes resources and a lot of plastic bags as well. So right now, the methods they use are not very sustainable. And with iBin, we wanted to change the entire process to make it more sustainable.
That's great. And Cian, have you developed everything yourself? How did you two split the work?
I primarily did the back end and working with the iTwin software, and Barbara was primarily front end and design.
And how about the IoT? Did you manage to connect the IoTs with the platform, or you didn't get to that stage?
At the moment, we're in the process of importing ultrasonic sensors to implement on our campus. But like I've set up the code that's necessary for it. It's just kind of setting up the prototype now that we have to get to.
Amazing. So you have continued the project after the competition. You now applying it to the Enactus competition.
When we came back from Kazakhstan, we actually took on another teammate. So it's a team of 3 of us now. So we're expanding our group in order to get the actual physical prototype going. So that's very, very exciting. Right now, we're in a stressful time at university, so we haven't been able to develop it as much. But we are definitely in the planning stages, in the stages of ordering the actual sensors in, testing out what works, what doesn't, and then to approach our university to actually get this thing rolling.
And is that third person part from the same university?
Yes, so we met this teammate. We've worked with this teammate on a different project with Engineers Without Borders. It's actually where we were welcomed to the world of Enactus and to Bentley. So yeah, we've worked with this teammate before, and we're very, very happy to take him on.
And how did you meet Enactus then, Cian?
We met Enactus through Stephen, who we met him at this event called the Engineers Without Borders Design Challenge, where we presented an idea to help provide clean water to a city called Pu Now in Cambodia.
And did you win anything with that project, or it was just an exercise?
Yeah, we won a €2,000 bursary, which was split between the 6 of us in our group. And of course, we also got the opportunity to meet Stephen, who introduced us to Enactus, which kind of like set off this whole kind of chain of events to where we entered the iTwin for Good challenge and hopefully the Enactus World Cup next year.
Yeah, we went and represented our university in Manchester over the summer, and it was after our final presentations and that Stephen approached us and he was talking about Bentley systems and Enactus, and we had no idea what Bentley or Enactus or anything like that was, but we had so much momentum from Engineers Without Borders, so it was really, really easy to take on another project and keep that momentum going throughout the summer. So it was great. Yeah, we were so very grateful that Stephen approached us on that day, because our lives would be so much different now if he hadn't approached us. So we're very grateful for that.
So you're doing a lot of extra work, right? How are you balancing school and Enactus and Engineers Without Borders and whatever else you're doing?
For me, like balance is kind of a tricky word, because when you take on a course like engineering, like it kind of does have to become your life and you have to put a lot of time into it. So really, like most of my life is kind of split between like Enactus, engineering, and maybe like relaxing with my family at the end of the day now.
Yeah, I would say the same. I don't think it's a case of balancing because I can say for myself that I love engineering. I love what I do, and I can probably say the same for Cian. So when you're doing something that you love and it's so fulfilling, it doesn't feel like work at the end of the day. Naturally, like homework and exams, that's different, but the things that you do with Engineers Without Borders or Enactus, it's enjoyable work, it's fulfilling, it's really great to do. So at the end of the day, if I had a jam-packed day of work and university work and Enactus and all of that, it's a great day. I'm very, very grateful for having my schedule busy with that kind of thing.
How did the idea for the iBin came?
The idea kind of sprung into my head over the summer when I was in Dublin. I believe I was on O'Connell Street actually, and there were just huge amounts of people on the road and bins were overflowing. And I thought like, okay, obviously their current system's not working. What can we do to improve this?
I think old people would just look at that kind of thing. Old like me would just look at the bins and think, yeah, that's how it is, right? That's why I think the young generation should be solve these problems.
I mean, I like to attend like different festivals or concerts or anything like that, even matches or game days, and you see all this rubbish on the streets and then the waste and nothing is being done about it. It's such an old system and it's a traditional system and the rest of the world is adapting technology and the waste management is just stuck in a place and nothing's being done to it and we just all accepted it that this is how it's going to be and nothing can be done about it. But things can be done about it and that's what we want to do. We want to make it more sustainable. We want to make it better.
Have you contacted any of the local authorities and discussed this problem with them?
In the moment, we're in the process of getting a hold of our campus services to kind of see if we can get a prototype running in our kind of area of the campus, which would be like the engineering faculty.
We've done a lot of research and read so many research papers, and there's so much, not even in Ireland, in our city, just in every city around the world. Like this is such a big problem, and it's a worldwide problem.
After winning Engineers Without Borders, iTwin for Good, you then went to Kazakhstan and competed there. What do you think made you so successful in 2024?
I think just like the willingness to try something new, kind of like throw yourself into it without knowing like, oh, will I be successful? Will I fail? But just like giving a whole effort and, not being afraid of failing.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Just being able to say yes, even though you've no idea if it's going to work out. When we started the Bentley competition, neither of us knew how to use the language, knew how to code in that way. So it was definitely very scary. And at points we were like, is this too hard for us? Should we keep going? But essentially, it's just keeping that mindset of, I should try. I should push myself forward. I should push myself out of my comfort zone. And definitely, I think that was such a big part of it.
And how was Kazakhstan? Was it a good experience?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a culture shock in the best way possible. Such a beautiful country. Astana was a beautiful city, and the people, they were so incredibly welcoming. The food, everything was top notch. It was such a stark contrast to our lives now in Ireland. And sometimes I think back to it and I'm like, I can't believe that I was actually in Kazakhstan competing for my country. It was such a surreal experience and it's something that I would remember for the rest of my life, definitely.
Cian, I saw on your LinkedIn that you are working at a restaurant. I really think everyone should at some point work at a restaurant, right? Because you've got to learn how to serve and how important it is to respect who is serving you as well. So you look from another angle. Do you think that is helping you in any way?
At the moment, I'll work weekends, but during the summer, I worked full time, and really, for me, I feel like it really taught me the value of hard work and the real value of money. Like working for like €11 an hour. Sometimes you'll think like what's the point of even working here? Like I'm not really earning anything, but like you really learn the value of money. I'd say.
Gotta find another job for you, man. And I noticed that on your LinkedIn profiles that both of you have worked with education.
Yeah, so I worked with CityClicks, so essentially that was making videos for leaving certificate and junior certificate students in maths and physics. So I think that's like A levels. Yeah, GCSEs and A levels. So essentially I was making videos for them in terms of maths and physics and going through exam questions. And now I'm doing private lessons for 4 students in Leaving Cert for maths. So it's definitely very, very rewarding. But I did come from a very similar background to Cian. I used to work as a barista, as a server, ever since I was 16, actually. So definitely I understood what Cian was saying. I think it's so important to be able to respect the people that serve you. Exactly what you said, Ivan.
I worked as kind of a language instructor at a company called Euro Languages College over my 5th year summer, which would be when I was 17 years old. In essence, it's kind of like equivalent to being like a TA in university, except I'm teaching like people that are the ages of 14 and 15. Yeah, I thought it was a great experience, and like it's good to be able to teach someone whose position you were once in, because you know kind of all the like the nuances to learning and how hard it can be to learn something.
And the best way to learn is teaching, right? Is the iTwin for Good competition helping you at school at all? Do you think it has benefited you in any way?
Definitely. I think in honestly every aspect. We're both doing electrical and electronic engineering, and if you look at it from the coding side, the software side, doing the course, the Bentley course, it taught us a specific way of thinking. There's like an analytical way of thinking and more technical aspect to it. That was naturally very, very beneficial to us. But then there's all of the other skills that come with doing the iTwin for Good challenge. Things like teamwork, communication, and pushing through the challenges. Because naturally, iBin wasn't created without any challenges. And so naturally being able to overcome those hurdles was really, really important. Things like presenting and answering judges' questions, those things don't come naturally, and definitely they're improved by constant practice. So that was very beneficial to us.
Yeah, I'd agree with Barbara, and I'd go on to say that like in subjects that involve like coding languages such as C and C++, the challenge made them like significantly easier because we kind of already had that experience with higher level languages such as Java, TypeScript, and whatnot.
How about presentation skills, Cian? I noticed that you were a bit shy at the beginning when we started the competition, yeah. But then you kind of relaxed later and you presented. I saw nerves on stage, but you know, I get very nervous as well.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely like hugely beneficial to my presentation skills and kind of helped me to come out my shell on stage and like learn to talk to an audience and not kind of seize up and lose my calm.
Were the questions in Kazakhstan difficult? The judges that we had there were kind of new to the whole competition and new to your project. They obviously saw your project from another angle and asked questions that were, in a way, unexpected.
There was one question that we found challenging, or definitely eye-opening. I think it was something about the pollution in lakes and rivers and in the seas. So that was a completely different angle than we thought they were going to ask us about. But it was definitely something that we're left to consider now because it was a completely different perspective on our project. And as we continue to expand iBin, I think it's great to have those different perspectives and to have those different options that we can go and look into now.
Do you have any plans for scaling the project, for making it bigger? And after you apply it to the university, let's say it works there, everything goes smoothly. What is your next step after that?
Assuming it goes smoothly with the university and we can implement it there, I'd like to see if I can approach kind of community authorities, see if I can maybe get it up and working in a community, kind of scale it from there, and possibly set up around stadiums and other areas of like really high traffic, because that's where I believe it'd be most effective.
Yeah, I think the way that we'd like to approach whether different companies or different authorities, is with a long-term solution in mind. We were thinking of iBin as having as a subscription-based model, so naturally there'd be an upfront cost, but we'd like to approach them with the idea that it's a long-term investment and they would really save money in the long run by resources and things like fines. When you have a lot of overflowing bins and littering and all that kind of thing, they can really fine you, and that's a lot of money that you are just wasting, along with things like focusing on sustainability and focusing on your carbon footprint. With our more efficient routes, you would reduce the amount of fuel that you use. So naturally, that would also reduce the amount of money you're wasting on those resources. So that's how we would like to approach them and hopefully help them to see that this is the way to go forward.
Amazing. Have you tested it already, even in a small scale?
Yeah, so Cian, you built a little Arduino circuit, right?
I built an Arduino circuit just to kind of simulate a network of bins, but at the moment we don't have the bin sensors kind of tested yet. We're in the process of ordering it through Amazon. Within the next week or two, we should have our first working prototype set up, which is a good step in the right direction.
What did you do with the money that you earned last year or this year?
Yeah, so the Engineers Without Borders bursary was split 6 ways. So I think we each had around 300 something, and that was used for an educational purpose. So I personally used it as money for my iPad because my laptop was really, really old. I do know one of our teammates used it to get a 3D printer, which is really, really interesting. How about you, Cian?
Yeah, I used it for an iPad as well, and an iPad pen kind of just to take notes.
What is next for you too?
Right now, we are still quite early on in our degrees. We are only halfway through our second year. So when we did Engineers Without Borders and when we did Enactus, we just had finished our first year of university. So we're still developing, we're still learning about where we want to go. I think we're at a very early age, but I think that's very exciting because we have so many opportunities, so many routes that we can go to. Right now, I'm kind of exploring different software, different hardware, and almost the intersection of software and hardware. I think that's really, really interesting. And there's so many things going on in like the AI world, machine learning world. I'd definitely love to learn more about that, definitely.
For us, I think the next steps would be like to expand our group. I was at the Impact Accelerator with Enactus about 2 weeks ago, and Stephen came up and approached me and said, for each member, we need at least another member. So transitioning from 3 to 6 members, or 6+ members even, just so that that we can kind of get more work done and try and expand our project as fast as possible.
Do you have any idea of what you're going to do after university?
After university, I'd like to work in like the realm of computer engineering, potentially with the companies such as Intel or Microsoft.
Bentley?
Yeah, Bentley as well. Yeah, of course. Bentley would be a great company to work with as well.
I mean, I think the same, definitely. With the degree that we have now, we can choose to do 3, 4, 5 years, and with the 5 years, we do an integrated placement for a few months. So I think definitely getting a computer engineering placement or a software placement, that'd be very cool. Going to the Bentley offices and the headquarters in Dublin was a really cool experience, and being able to see how it all works and seeing all the computers lined up, all the monitors and the offices, it was definitely an exciting experience to see that what we're learning now and what I'm doing exams for now can translate into this big cool thing to go work in these headquarters one day.
Okay, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I mean, the world is changing so quickly and there's no way to know what's coming next. But with your expertise and your knowledge, what skill do you think would be important for us to learn?
I think the skill that you already have, which is resilience. Just try things out and don't be afraid of failure. Try everything you can. Fail fast. Fail fast doesn't mean, catastrophically. It means make small experiments that will assist you with making decisions and adjust the trajectory that you are going towards. So you don't need to have a 90 degrees change of direction. It's small corrections, more or less like when you're driving a car, right? You make small corrections on the steering wheel. If you turn it too quickly, you can lose control. But don't be afraid of a failure. Don't give up when things don't go too well. And if something is really important, you know that that thing is really important. Don't let other people push you down. They say they don't care or it's not important for them, or just keep going. At some point, you succeed.
If I was to ask you a question, I'd say it's kind of twofold in it. So what were the greatest skills that you developed with Enactus, and what were the greatest skills that you developed with Bentley Systems?
Interesting. The greatest skill that I developed with Enactus is, and I think I said that to someone else as well, is the understanding of a board meeting. I didn't understand the board meeting before because my experiences with companies were like startups, so quite small. And what I learned in Bentley, things take time. And the bigger the boat, the more energy you need to change its trajectory, right? So if you are on a kayak and you are like a startup, you can just paddle once and you're going to flip, yeah? But in a big boat, you need a lot of energy. Like Bentley, you need, or Microsoft, as you mentioned. So you need to have ability to socialize your ideas and pitch them. So what you're learning now with Enactus and Bentley how to pitch in 3 minutes, concisely, straight to the point. That's very important. You have to apply that all the time. Yeah, and again, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Sometimes you email someone an information that's not exactly what they want, and they will reply back saying, oh, can you expand on this, expand on that, or also do less. Sometimes you're providing too much information. They just want to have things more concisely. That's what I learned, I think, in Bentley. That's a good question. Thank you very much. Congratulations for winning iTwin for Good in Ireland. Well done for going to the World Cup and participating there, and for continuing the project. I am really glad to hear that it wasn't just a one-off. You want to continue it. Yeah, and if you need help with the iTwin platform, just reach out.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
iTwin for Good is a competition that challenges university students to use Bentley Systems' iTwin platform to create